Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday, July 22nd. A lot to talk about this morning. The tropics are active and there is a strong to severe thunderstorm possibility later today into tonight across the Mid-Atlantic region, certainly to include the DC metro region, the Philadelphia and New York City metro areas as well. An area of showers and thunderstorms already exists out across the Ohio Valley, already moving into western parts of Pennsylvania, and we'll monitor that area of showers and storms over the next several hours. And again, there's a chance for strong to severe thunderstorm activity in the I-95 corridor region late today and early tonight. We had some strong storms reach the I-95 corridor region last night, and again, we have an even better chance coming later today. Another funnel system approaches late tomorrow, and that too will likely be associated with some strong thunderstorms, perhaps even some severe thunderstorms. And then we get some relief in the Mid-Atlantic region, the Northeast U.S., and the Great Lakes later Friday into the weekend. Saturday itself, for example, should turn out to be a pretty seasonal day in much of the Mid-Atlantic region. And then we start to build up the heat and humidity again early next week. But let's start off by looking at the tropics. Again, last week we talked about several impressive looking waves over the continent of Africa that looked like they were poised to move out over the tropical Atlantic. Indeed, they have caused an increase in activity in the tropical Atlantic Ocean, and we have two separate systems we're closely monitoring this morning. And by the way, there still are more waves over Africa that we'll have to monitor over the next few weeks. First of all, we have a system right now over the Gulf of Mexico, and it looks rather impressive. We'll take a look in a moment here on satellite imagery. Looks rather impressive. It actually could very well be strong enough to be called a tropical depression. It hasn't been yet by the National Hurricane Center, but again, we'll see quite an impressive look on satellite imagery in a moment. This is moving west to northwest and ultimately should produce some heavy rainfall in places like Texas and Louisiana over the next few days. And again, very well could reach tropical depression or even tropical storm status. Meanwhile, we do have a tropical depression, and this has an excellent chance of strengthening into tropical storm status over the next day or two. Looks like it's moving right towards the Caribbean Sea, and by the weekend would likely be entering the Caribbean Sea region. It too is rather impressive on satellite imagery this morning, somewhat compact, not all that large right now, but rather impressive looking, and we'll take a look at that also. Eventually, there's a chance that this system could get wrapped up in a trough coming into the eastern U.S. But again, two systems we're monitoring right now, one in the Gulf of Mexico and one in the central part of the tropical Atlantic. Well, let's take a look at the system in the Gulf of Mexico. These satellite images, by the way, from the College of DuPage weather website, a great weather website for satellite imagery and radar. This is a band on the GO-16 satellite image that we call the RGB, the red, green, blue natural color band, and it takes the sun to come up to actually display it here to make it visible. But look at this area, very impressive looking, extending from the western part of Cuba into the Gulf of Mexico. Again, it's not classified yet by the National Hurricane Center as a tropical depression, but looking at the satellite imagery, I would not be at all surprised if that is indeed the case later today, and it does have a chance to become a tropical storm as well as it moves to the west-northwest over the next couple of days. And again, ultimately could produce some heavy rainfall across Louisiana and Texas, and we'll monitor that closely over the next few days. Well, let's take another point of view here of the tropical Atlantic all the way into the western part of Africa. This is Africa right here. Again, it's the same RGB natural color band of the GO-16 satellite image from the College of DuPage website. Here is the tropical depression right now, number 7. If it in fact becomes a tropical storm, it would become Gonzalo, the 7th such named storm of the season. There's kind of a race between this one and the one that Gulf of Mexico to see which develops into tropical storm status first. But again, rather impressive look to it, nice and concentric and symmetrical, somewhat compact. Other waves behind it though. Notice a wave right here closer to the coast of Africa, and yet another wave off, just over the west coast of Africa. So again, an active scene here in the tropical Atlantic, and we are closely monitoring this system. It appears to be headed for the Caribbean Sea by the upcoming weekend, and again has an excellent chance of intensifying from tropical depression status now to tropical storm status, perhaps even as early as later today. Well, let's shift gears back to the U.S. Again, a chance for strong to severe thunderstorms in the I-95 corridor throughout the Mid-Atlantic region later today into early tonight. We had some strong thunderstorms move from the western Mid-Atlantic into the I-95 corridor region late yesterday and last night. It caused some heavy rainfall in some areas. There was some booming thunder here in the southeastern part of Pennsylvania. Notice already this morning an impressive looking radar map here with showers and embedded thunderstorms throughout the Ohio Valley, already moving into the western part of Pennsylvania. We'll see in a moment here. Strong upper level energy is supporting this activity, and it will continue to do so over the next several hours as it continues to move generally from the southwest to the northeast, reaching the I-95 corridor region this afternoon and continuing the threat into the evening hours. And again, it could be some strong to severe thunderstorms in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, with potentially damaging gusty winds, maybe some hail, heavy rainfall as well, already causing a ruckus out across the Ohio Valley. Well, let's take a look at last night's 060 run of the GFS model, the operational version. This is the 500 millibar vorticity pattern. Vorticity is a kind of spin in the upper part of the atmosphere that leads to upward motion in the lower middle levels of the atmosphere. It is these areas that we look for this time of the year for potential thunderstorm activity. And here we go. This area right in this region right now, as we begin the day on Wednesday, represented by yellows and oranges, is a wave of energy in the upper part of the atmosphere. We'll see as we push forward here. It generally arrives in the I-95 corridor region by early tonight. This is the forecast map at 500 millibars at 8 p.m. this evening, and there it is, that wave of energy here. And again, that will enhance the chance for strong to severe thunderstorms anytime during the afternoon and into the evening hours along the I-95 corridor. Notice upstream kind of a sharper wave of energy here aloft, and that will play a role on Thursday. Let's move forward here, and we'll see as we get into the day on Thursday. Still some energy sitting here over the northeastern part of the nation, and here by Thursday evening, we have kind of a larger scale upper level trough moving into the northeast U.S. That's associated with a stronger frontal system that will indeed usher in a more comfortable air for later Friday and Saturday into the Mid-Atlantic region. And the combination of that strong front with some upper level energy support could result in more showers and thunderstorms on Thursday, especially Thursday afternoon and evening. Perhaps again reaching strong to severe limits. We'll have to monitor that closely during the midday and afternoon hours on Thursday. That clears on out of here later on Friday. High pressure ridging, which is really centered over the middle part of the nation by tomorrow night, extends into the east here over the upcoming weekend. This is the forecast map at 500 millibars by Saturday. Notice this high pressure ridging right in this region extends into the Mid-Atlantic region. Looks like probably a rain-free weekend in places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, the Jersey Shore, with comfortably warm conditions on Saturday and getting back to 90 degrees again by Sunday afternoon. Again, that heat and humidity will build up again during the early part of next week. Well, let's wrap up by looking at the surface forecast maps from last night's 6E GFS model run. A little bit overdone perhaps this morning by the GFS in terms of the current amount of precipitation activity, but this is real out here as we saw on the radar a moment ago, out across the Ohio Valley. Let's move forward here. And see, by the time we get into this evening, GFS is really outputting some decent rainfall later today into the early part of tonight, and that is associated with that wave of energy aloft that again will enhance the chance for showers and thunderstorms later today into tonight. Again, there's a threat for strong to severe thunderstorms that could produce some damaging gusty winds, hail, and some brief downpour activity here. Let's move forward here into the overnight hours. It will start to wane later on tonight into the early part of Thursday, but then Thursday we have another frontal system to deal with a little bit of a low pressure system riding along that frontal system. Notice upstream a nice Canadian type high pressure system dropping over the western Great Lakes by tomorrow morning. That influences the weather here in terms of relief coming Friday and Saturday in the Mid-Atlantic region. Let's move ahead here, and here we go. Here's that next frontal system, again supported by some upper level energy. This is the forecast map for tomorrow evening around 8 p.m. Thursday evening. Get some heavy rainfall potentially across the Delmarva Peninsula, D.C., into New Jersey, maybe even hanging back into the eastern part of Pennsylvania. We'll just have to monitor that threat more closely tomorrow afternoon. That moves on out of here by Friday, and for the most part, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday appear to be generally rain-free days, maybe an isolated shower or thunderstorm on Saturday, but generally high pressure in control here. And this is the forecast map for Sunday. Notice already high pressure moves off the eastern seaboard in the all too familiar Bermuda high position by the end of the weekend here. And on the backside you have this southwesterly flow of warmer, more humid air first developing out over the Midwest, and then that will translate into the eastern part of the nation. We probably get back to 90 degrees for highs on Sunday, maybe into the 90s by Monday in the I-95 corridor region. Again, a couple of days of a relief to the recent heat and humidity later Friday and Saturday, but watch out later today into tonight in the Mid-Atlantic region throughout the northeastern part of the nation for the possibility of some strong to severe thunderstorm activity. And we'll closely monitor the tropics as well throughout the day. That's it for now. For PerspectiveWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.